friends living on my right in Hyacinth Cottage, and Jack as my pillars. Jack had done as much work as he could with a couple of his friends, such as stripping the floorboards in some of the rooms, repairing the windows, and fixing the locks so Phil couldn't get back in should he have chosen to. Not that there was any danger of that. Jack had continued to work relentlessly for weeks, fixing the log burner and the boiler before the winter set in, while Emma had provided the free childcare while I worked in a restaurant, all for the price of a weekly neighbour dinner. And now I reciprocated by providing dinner and babysitting as she worked. "Mum, I think my clothes are shrinking," Ben said as we tried to get his trousers over his leg brace this morning. The doctors said he would always have one leg longer than the other, but I refused to believe it. The fact that he couldn't even walk without it, for now, didn't stop us from believing he would run like the wind one day. And his trousers were actually not shrinking. He was simply growing faster than I could clothe him, and the school had been adamant. No wide-legged trousers. Were they afraid my 8-year-old was going to introduce a bazooka into the school, for goodness sake? So, every morning we had this palaver. "One more time, darling," I urged him as my bloody mobile rang. I'd have left it gladly, but it was my accountant, menacing Mike, formerly dubbed Marvellous Mike when there was money in my account. I tapped the green circle on my screen. "Hi, Mike," I chimed like a dream catcher warding off evil spirits, hoping some good karma would work its charm and come back into my life. "What's up?" "Up? Nothing's up, Nina, but I can tell you what's down. Your royalties. They're dwindling." I felt my stomach start to burn again for the 3rd time that morning. "What, so soon?" "It's been 3 years since your last book, Nina. You need to come up with something new ASAP, or else," he counselled as I jammed the phone between my shoulder and cheek as Ben and I finally managed to pull his trousers on. "Do your tie up now, darling," I whispered. "It's sort of knotted, Mum," he apologised, and I looked down in dismay. Of all mornings, he'd somehow managed to tangle it so badly that it would not come undone. Chloe, on the other hand, was already sulking at the top of the stairs, preparing a tantrum of biblical proportions because she couldn't find her favourite blue tights, the sheer ones. God, how I hated Mondays. It was like being dragged back to hell after a few minutes' paradise called the weekend, during which you were allowed to forget your troubles. But, unfortunately, it never lasted. "Sorry, Miss Conti, it's Monday again. You can't stay here in paradise. No, Miss Conti. Please stop bawling and do let go of the pearly gates and come down this way. Through the burning doors, please." This happened every 7 days. Even God got a break more often than me. "Look in your mesh bag," I called up to my pre-teenager. She yelled back, "Mum, where do you think I've been looking? The fridge?" On days like this, anything was possible. It wouldn't be the first time, anyway. I personally had a potted history of putting my reading glasses in the hot oven, my day planner in the hamper, and my keys in the bread bin. "Then wear socks for today." I looked down at Ben. "How on earth did we find ourselves in this mess, my boy?" I asked, and he looked up at me with those angel eyes and grinned. "Don't blame me," Mike shot back, thinking I'd been talking to him. "I'm not the one with the heart of gold." Jesus, I'd almost forgotten he was there. I must stop blanking out like this. And by heart of gold, he meant a brain the size of a piece of lint, and how could I not have seen my husband had so cleverly planned his escape? "How bad is it really, Mike?" I asked, although I was well aware of my options at this point. 1. Lose my dilapidated and heavily mortgaged home if I missed any more payments, very likely, and move under a bridge. 2. Take my kids out of Northwood Academy, not happening. 3. Ask Jack for a loan. I knew he was well off, but I wasn't doing that. He had already done enough for me. 4. Ask my agent for an advance. But an advance on what?